Good afternoon, everyone. Quick mic check. Five by five. Awesome. Wow, what an insane, I mean, a day where we open up, sell off nearly 10 points, right? And then bounce back and make a new, more recent high. As you know, we've been doing that. We did that on Monday, kind of popped up, sold off, made a new high. Did that on Tuesday, sold off, popped up, made a new high. And then today, massive sell off, massive. I mean, you don't very often get a V like this in the market. Um, this is pretty crazy. Um, so I mean, you're really getting a lesson in how to manage market volatility, right? Normally, beginning traders would have been in trades, and this would have ripped everyone's faces off, right? And they would have stopped out of all their trades, and/or tried to go short, and then had their faces ripped off this direction. And I like the aggressive nature of just saying faces ripped off. Um, and newbies without the tutelage of Nate Bear and D-Man and myself, this could have been a violent day for most people. But I think we've traded this as a room pretty well. Yeah, we've had a couple of little stop outs, but we've also made some money on all of this, and I think that's the testament to the being in a room with people and having different viewpoints on the market. My mic too loud, Joe? I mean, they should just definitely get my setup in general because my setup is the best. Good. Okay, as long as I'm not too loud. Yeah, all of our mic levels are somewhat different, just based on the equipment we're using and/or what our settings are. It can tend to vary, but the nice thing is, I just adjust my volume depending on who's on. So that's sort of the nice thing there. Okay, so I've got a little training session. We did a little live trading this morning. It was more of a trade review than it was live trading on the snipers that we took this morning, right? That I put in the room, and I've just sort of been watching this pull. Now, this is the funny part. Like, you just don't know that you're going to have this huge down and huge up day. This sniper that I took off the bottom, nearly bottom ticked it, right? And this is the one that I got 50% on. I'm wishing now looking back, we were coming up into the VWAP area, whatnot. Good place to take that off. We're probably going to find some resistance, which of course we did. But hindsight's always 2020, right? I'm wishing I'd at least left one contract on for this insane. I'd probably be in the 500% range or more. I have no idea. I'll have to go back and look at what contracts I had, and then see where they are price wise now. That would be pretty funny. Actually, I bet I could do that right. No, no, no. Let's not live in a world of what ifs, right? I'm happy with, I had a 15% loss on the first try, and then a 50% win on the second try. And then through a couple, there would have been a couple of good ones in here, but I was teaching, and we were doing a lesson on psychology, so it didn't really play out that way. But what I wanted to do, because I saw a bunch of questions on it, was I wanted to come in and talk a little bit, do a beginner's lesson on volume profile and kind of how to read that. Put a three in chat if you are still a little confused on how to use volume profile to pick your levels. Okay, so we'll do a quick little 30-minute lesson on volume profile and kind of how to use it and understand the way the price action works. Okay, so what we get are let me find a good chart too. I should have done this before I jumped on. I apologize. I was managing some other stuff, and so I didn't really get that prepped and loaded in ahead of time. But how many of you have read Volume Price, A Complete Guide to Volume Price Analysis? It's one D-Man recommends. I've read it twice. I think it's amazing. And it talks about how price action works, right? So what you get, and I'm looking for kind of a good example, we get these areas of accumulation and distribution, right? Where, big institutions, market makers are, running the price up. And this is a fairly decent example, right? They're, accumulating positions here, running it up, distributing it back to other people here, right? And then or taking shorts, bringing it down, distributing and accumulating here, and then it moves. And so you get these pockets of consolidation, right? Or what appear as consolidation. And really what's happening is you have a upper resistance point and a lower support. And, depending on what the institutions are doing, they're just accumulating size as it comes into support, selling into some into resistance, doing it again, right? And then preparing for the next move. And incidentally, this is what happens when we're, our trend pattern squeeze. So if we look at something in the neighborhood of, what's a good TPS chart? I mean, CAV is a good TPS chart. Let me see. Let's see, ORCL. Here is we had a spike up for earnings. This is an Oracle, right? Spike up for earnings, and then a quiet period, right? Where, we came up and we hit a high, we created a low, right? Or a low of this pattern, right? And now we're just going to chop within this pattern when we're finding a fair value before we make our next move, whether that's up or down, and we don't know. And while it's doing that, that's when we form these squeezes. Okay. A complete guide to volume price analysis. I could not recommend that more for understanding price action in the market and how things, how and why things move, and understanding. Because ultimately, and D-Man talks about this a lot. Ultimately, you're trading against other people, right? Trading is a zero-sum game, right? So if you're making money, somebody else is losing money. And if you're losing money, somebody else is making money, right? It's not a kumbaya, everybody is making money together, in of the broader market. If you're making money, someone's losing money. And so you want to be this person and not this person. And so understanding both psychology and how price action works, the more you understand that, the better off you can be here. and understand what other people are doing so you can win, take their money, essentially, right? And we're all playing against the big institutions, and so we need to know how they work and what they're most likely going to do in any given situation. So we have these areas of distribution and accumulation, and they create what's called a volume profile node, or an area of volume profile. And so what that is, as you can see, on TradingView, we have what's called a visible range volume profile. So I can see the volume by price, right, which is different. This is volume. Oops, sorry, I have the wrong tool. Down here is volume by time. That gives us an idea that within this one 15-minute candle, we had this amount of volume, right? And that helps us in our trading, especially when we're trading, breakouts or big moves or things like that. That's volume by time. This over here is volume by price, okay? So where is the most volume based on the price of the underlying stock, right? It's not of the stock. It's not underlying because I'm not necessarily playing options. So I'm just used to saying that. Sorry. And within that pocket, we create a value area low, right? You can see a value area high in this portion of the node. You could also come up here in this larger node, and I'll lower this so it's a little easier to see. And the value area high, right? Value area low, where this thing cuts off, it drops off. And then we have what we call the point of control, which I usually mark in red, right? Which is the point at which the majority of this price action has happened. Okay, the majority of people are here, right? And as you can see this taper off, there are far less people up here in this range, right? Sorry, that was a terrible oval. And far less people down here, and most people are going to be right in here, okay? So what we can use this point of control level is an over-under, right? So if we're below that level and we're coming into it, we're going to see that as a point of resistance, right? If we're coming back up into here. Once we get over that, now it's a point of support, because old resistance, once you break it, becomes what? Anyone? Bueller? Old resistance becomes... Is my chat broken? Support. There it is. Right. And then old support, when it gets broken to the downside, becomes resistance, right? So if we're using this over-under level here, right, this is just one quick example. Our base support here is at our value area low, and our top end resistance is up here at our value area high. But we can use this mid-level as a point of an over-under. So as we get up and over, my thought is this will come down into this point of control. And if the market is staying strong, or this name is staying strong, it's going to do a move like that, right? If we break below, we might do a move like this and then come back here and retest our support. And so it's within a pattern, within an area of distribution, right? That is an over-under level. Now, where that comes into play on a larger scale is if we look. Does anybody have any questions about that? So I can come in here and I can draw those lines, and then I can step back out into a smaller time frame. Like if, let's say, I was wanting to trade that on a let's say I was wanting to trade this on a 15-minute chart, right? 15-minute squeeze. I've got my highs, my lows, my point of control, and now I can come into a 2-minute chart and see more detail and then also check to see that my levels, my VP levels are correct, right? And so you see these two VP lines there that are pretty close together. There we go. And you see it'll change based on my visible range. So now it's only showing up into this point, right? But if I include the most recent, this becomes a little bit more of a block. But my point of control level is drawn correctly. That is the largest node, a bar of volume right there. Okay, and as we get a little closer, I could even put a second line in here, and this is the block of space where most people are, and this should come in and bounce again. If the market stays strong, now it could push right down through there, but it's going to be a level of support now that we're above it. Okay. So that's a good question. How do you get your lower value area? Why not a little lower? Well, this is where chart reading also plays a pretty major factor in how this works. So this is my lower level. And yeah, you could come down here and say, okay, this, all the way down to where there's no volume at all would be there, right? But I'm looking for that's not really going to be, I mean, it could be a support level, but that's not a clear support level. But I do have a nice ledge right there. Do you see that? See right here, this ledge, and I know by looking at the volume profile that that's going to be a value area low. But what helps inform that is look how many times it was resistance point here. You can see it when the first gap up and it pulled back and then it pushed through. So it was resistance there. Old resistance becomes what? Support, support, support. Okay, so that is the value area low for this pattern here, just right here, just what we're looking at, right? And chart reading, combining that with my volume profile helps inform that. The two inform each other. Yeah, and John makes an interesting point. This is kind of an art, right? It's not an exact science. You have to kind of understand what you're looking at, how that then relates to the chart, and you get better and better and better and better at it, right? So this is just 2 days worth of Oracle on a 2-minute chart or a 3-minute chart, right? And that's all we're looking at is this section right here, okay? That's all we're looking at for volume profile. So if I wanted to jump out here to a daily chart, right? Now, you can see, let me get rid of these guys. So we're just drawing clean. Okay. You can see this was the volume profile we were looking at right here. And all we were looking at were these 2 bars right here. Okay, but look at all of this. Here's another volume profile node. Here's another VP node. Here's another VP node. Here's another VP node for all of this trading that happened on this move up, right? So now I'm looking at a daily chart, and this is, nearly a year's worth of price action. Nearly. So I can see quite easily that I have a major node here, right? And so if I draw my red line there, that's my point of control for this node right here. Okay? So if for some reason we had a massive sell-off from, we broke that support level there that we were drawing in our 2-day, right? And we came down, where's a logical place for this to find support? Well, it would be right here in the middle. Okay? So that's why we mark that point of control. It is going to find, most likely, a bounce level at the other value area high. Okay, so I'm going to draw a yellow line at this value area high. Right? So I've drawn a yellow line here, and then I'm going to find the value area low for that node, which is about here. Now you see, yes, we had a breakdown and reclaim of that area there. But now you see from the volume profile, we have a gap here. We have a lot of air. So if this pushes down, and now I can come in here to a 15-minute chart now that I have these drawn and kind of enlarge this a little bit, right? So if Oracle, for whatever reason, breaks through this level here, it's probably at the very least going to come into here. And if it enters this new node, right, yellow to yellow, it's most likely going to come down into that point of control level that we drew before. Right? And then when you're in this new node, you can probably expect if it pushes down, it's going to find some support here. If it gets above that point of control, it's probably going to do something like this. Right? This is air here. So, there's not a lot of volume to support that. So if it breaks down, it is probably coming into this level. Right? And these are areas of distribution and accumulation. Right? And so it is visible range. So you see my point of control is down here, but I'm only showing this stuff right here, what's visible. If I go and I show all of that, it comes in two levels, right? So now I'm showing all of that. Now my point of control is at that red line because I'm showing from here to here. And it has all of these people, and it has all of these people. Yes, this session is being recorded, and it will be posted up to YouTube, I don't know, 15 minutes after we're done with this. Okay, so when we're looking to trade things, we are looking at these volume profile nodes and getting an understanding of how price action works within that. So you see, we came into this support level, and started to create it, moved up into this resistance, came down into this support, moved up into this resistance, came down into this support, moved up into this resistance, came down to this support, didn't quite make it all the way up, right? But came back in support, tried one more time, and then we broke. But what are we trying to do as traders? What is our goal as traders? Besides making money, right? We talked about it in my first session a little bit with your risk profile, right? We want our P&L to go in an upward direction to the right, and it's going to have some downs, but we want the overall pattern to go to the right. And the way we do that, oh, darn it. Sorry, let me draw that again. Sorry. The way we do that is by managing our risk, trying to buy at support and sell at resistance, right? Because if we buy at support and it breaks, it doesn't have to move very far for us to know that is a trade to cut. Right? And we sell into resistance because we know that's a resistance level. And yeah, it might keep going, but where we make our money is right there between support and resistance, right? So had this pattern been identified, and it takes some of the pattern developing for that to start, this could have been a buy, this could have been a sell, this could have been a buy, made it only halfway. That's maybe we don't take that off there, or you take it off a little early, right? We want to buy here, we want to sell here, right? We want to buy here, maybe add here, but it didn't break. Yeah, sell here if you were able to catch it, but normally we don't hold through earnings, right? Depending on what kind of strategy you have. So being able to identify these patterns and seeing where the over-under levels are, the support and resistance levels are, you can, I mean, this during this time period, right? What is this, June? Right? This section of this time period, June, July, right? 2 months. This Oracle was going, overall was going nowhere, right? But it's moving 10 points between each one of these. And so if you can identify these levels, you can start making, you can buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And you saw yesterday when we were marking up charts, you have an alert set here. You don't even have to watch the chart. It comes into that level, you get an alert, you open up the chart, that's at support, great, I'm going to buy, I'm going to move it to there. Or I'm going to hope it goes to there. And if it breaks down, I can cut it early, right? And not just let this thing go do this. Like, for instance, a disciplined trader that would be playing that up, down, up, down, up, down, gets this break and says, okay, I tried to buy it here, it broke down, so I'm cutting it, right? Instead of letting it get all the way to here. And then we get into the psychology, right? I'm betting prior to this action here, our point of control was right there. We came back into the pattern and it got to the point of control and said, nope, but that's bullish. This was a breakdown, a reclaim of the pattern. So that means we're going to reject off a point of control and test this low before we start moving back up again. We test this support level, right? So we call that a breakdown and reclaim. So you'll hear D-Man, myself, and Nate say that's a breakdown and retest. A retest would have been if this came back up to this level and didn't get back into it and then rolled over. That would be a breakdown and a retest. In this case, it was a breakdown and a reclaim. So then when we come out to these larger charts, right, we want to trade, Oracle, let's say, right? And we can come in here and we can start drawing these patterns, right? Okay, so here's another, point of control way down here. And I like to make my point of controls red. Everybody does it different. I like my value area highs and value area lows to be yellow, right? But I don't really need to mark this down here because where these, this point of control down here is all these traders right here, right? And as we got above it, you can see we came back in. We retested it twice before we started moving up, right? But we're way up here. I don't need to worry about these traders back here almost a year ago, right? Because we're moving away. I'm concerned right now. I'm concerned with these traders, and if we break down, then I'm concerned with these. So it's all where you're looking and what you're looking to do, right? So this is a daily chart, and we've marked that up. Now I can come in here to a 10-minute chart up high, and I've got my pattern here. I know what my levels are, right? I can make an informed trade based on that, and look what's happening based on what I talked about. Okay, we got above this point of control block, these two red lines. We came back into it, we retested it. Now we're trying to move up away from it. Does that make sense? And so that's how we do volume profile. And, I know D-Man did a session on it yesterday. I think he did a session on it yesterday. And that's just kind of a dumbed down version of, how we do that in TradingView and how it helps inform trades, right? So if you had marked this up and you had already established that support was here and you liked Oracle, this was your buy zone, right? Because it's a very low risk, The closer you buy to your stop support level, right, the better off you are. So, you could have played this double bottom here for this move up, flip it out there, pick it up again, see what it does, flip it out again, pick it up, try to pick it up again. That's how you make money in the market. Any questions? I know D-Man's next, and I don't want to roll into his time. And I know learning to draw this stuff, like I said, it's an art, and it takes practice, and you have to do it time and time and time again to get good at it. And the only way to do that is to be in a room where you can see other people doing it, and then ask questions on your own levels, and get feedback, and just get better and better and better. All right, D-Man, are you here? Don't forget, everyone. Today is the Big Profits 200 is the $200 off offer for our room. We do this kind of markup and this kind of conversation day in and day out. Day in and day out. D-Man, go ahead and grab it whenever you want it. I will talk to you all later.